All right, everybody, this is the Rubin Report. I'm Dave Rubin. It's March 27th, 2025. We are live streaming on Rumble, on YouTube, on Locals. I know you've tapped that notification bell, so I don't even need to finish this. Yeah, you got it. We got a Rubin Report Locals community Q&A. We did not have a post-game show yesterday because I was on Piers Morgan immediately after the show, and we can't have a post-game show today because I got to get over to New York because I'm on the number one show in late night, Greg Gutfeld, or Gutfeld with an exclamation point, tonight and tomorrow's show because I'm on Jesse Waters and I think Fox and Friends and a whole bunch of other media stuff in New York. Tomorrow's 11 a.m. show should be the highlights of Gutfeld. Thank you for bearing with us. I promise you some good laughs. I can already guarantee it in advance. I'm going to poke and noodle that little Greg Gutfeld guy. So we got a couple stories of the week that are just, we're not doing hardcore politics today. It's going to be a little bit of stuff from overseas. And then is there going to be a Islamic mega city in Texas? We'll find out. That's what we're doing on the Rubin Report today. All right, so we showed you the video last week of Conor McGregor, current MMA legend, former MMA fighter, at the White House, really making the case for Ireland being for the Irish. I know that that's very controversial, a pot of gold, a leprechaun, a rainbow, a Guinness, that sort of thing. Not necessarily a place that should just be overrun with immigrants from the Middle East and from Africa. It's really not controversial to say that. There's nothing wrong with fair-skinned white people. How you doing, Connor? Good to see you, as always. Check this out from Inevitable West. Breaking: Ireland's Director of Public Prosecutions is now considering charging Conor McGregor with incitement for hatred for posts he made on X back in 2023. He could face up to 2 years in prison. This is Trump-style legal warfare and blatant election interference. So we've been through all of this, guys. We've been through this many, many times here in the United States with Donald Trump. And now it appears that it's happening to Conor McGregor in Ireland. These are posts that he put up years ago. Clearly, nobody was looking into these posts until he shows up at the White House. Kind of implies he's going to announce a run for president, then announces it, I think the next day, maybe 2 days later. Conor McGregor tweeted this. I'll even try to do it in an Irish accent. "Fact! For the people of Ireland, I stand my ground. May our truth never be silenced. The fact is, if there is 7 years of zero resistance inside Oris un Toran towards government, Ireland is done for. Magnify where we are right now times 7,000. I would prefer to sail my yachts than have to approach the soulless, colourless combines of Dale Ireland every day. But if I do not, I am well aware of Ireland's fate, and I will never let that happen. Vote McGregor. The future of our country depends on it. Where's me freaking shillelagh?" No, it was a little Scottish. Kind of worked. Yeah. So people are all focused on this now, and they're going, well, what the hell is happening in Ireland? It's interesting. If you think of all the different countries in the world, okay, Spain is for Spanish people, Britain's for British people. And we know that these things have largely changed. And how do you define what your country is and what your culture is and all of that? There's something about Ireland. You think of the rolling greens and the golf courses and the beer and the leprechauns. It seems pretty straightforward. There's a country for Irish people. Not to say black people can't live there or religious minorities or anything else. But it seems like a kind of straightforward one. If you're kind of pale, you got reddish hair, you're good to go. However, it's changing. Here's some video of Ireland's St. Patrick's Day festival just last week. All right, so look, it's nice to see some people wearing green, but you've got all kinds of different flags. You've got all kinds of different garb. Remember, Ireland is not a melting pot the way America is. I like the Irish healthcare workers for Palestine. How do they feel about the Irish traditions and culture? You have to wonder. So that, in essence, is a visual example of what Conor McGregor is fighting against. And no, it does not mean that he is racist or anything like that. Tracy O'Mahony, who's an ex-political commentator, wrote this. In June 2024, the Irish government voted to opt Ireland into the EU Migration and Asylum Pact against the wishes of the Irish people. Ireland has until June of 26 to pass the necessary laws needed to enact the pact. Since June of 2024, there has been silence from the government regarding the pact. Less than 1 week ago, Conor McGregor stood on the world stage and declared that Ireland has a mass, unvetted, uncontrolled immigration problem, and that should he run and be elected president of Ireland, he would do all in his power to challenge the pact. Today, the Minister for Justice, Jim O'Callaghan, has secured government approval to submit Ireland's national implementation plan for the EU Asylum and Migration Pact to the European Commissioner, with Minister of State for Migration, Colm Brophy, stating that we are not waiting for June 26 to make changes to our systems. Be under no doubt that the government are running scared, because if Conor McGregor secures a nomination needed to run for the presidency, and if he can run on an immigration platform, he stands a good chance of being elected the next president of Ireland. So what is the answer? The government will do everything in their power to remove debate around the EU Migration Pact by endeavoring to pass all of the necessary laws before November 2025. This government is rotten to the core. So you see what's happening here. It's the same thing that we're seeing in so many of these countries, whether it's Britain or France or partially what we even had to do here in America, certainly what's going on in Canada. The native people of a country who wish to have Western values and who wish to maintain their culture and everything else don't want to just be overrun with people and have to live under the whims and wishes of unelected bureaucrats that live somewhere in Brussels. It's not much more complicated than that, and it doesn't make anyone racist, and it's just fine if an Irishman wants to go to the pub with his shillelagh, have a Guinness, and, smack around his wife after. Or maybe not that part, but you know what I'm saying. Conor McGregor tweeted this, against the wishes of the Irish people, modus operandi of a government that has long since abandoned the voices of its people, the people of Ireland. Everything said in the White House true, and we fight, fight, fight. Hey guys, let's get real for a sec. Anyone else feel like they're drowning under credit card bills, personal loans, or maybe even some leftover medical debt? It's like no matter how hard you work, your money's just slipping away to lenders instead of staying with you. I've been there and it's exhausting. But here's the good news. It doesn't have to stay this way, and that's where PDS Debt comes in. PDS Debt isn't just about managing your debt, it's about taking charge of it. Their platform digs into your specific financial situation, not some one-size-fits-all nonsense, and builds a plan that's tailored just for you. But they're not here to slap a Band-Aid on it. They're about finding a path to financial freedom that actually works with your life. And get this, no minimum credit score required. Whether your credit's taken a beating or it's just okay, PDS Debt is ready to help you save more, knock out that debt faster, and finally start building up your savings again. Here's what you need to do. Get started at pdsdebt.com/Rubin to complete your free debt assessment to see what options are available to you. Every day you wait, it's costing you money. Get started with your free debt analysis in just 30 seconds at pdsdebt.com/Rubin. That's pdsdebt.com/Rubin. Take back control by visiting pdsdebt.com/Rubin. You've got this. Let's make it happen. And we thought this was interesting. Here's just a guy that was going around. He appears to be a local Irish journalist, going around talking to people about Conor McGregor and the immigration problems and much more. And this is just a regular lady. And yeah.
Would you support Conor McGregor if he were to become the president of Ireland?
Yes, I would definitely support Conor McGregor. What Conor McGregor said in the White House last week was extremely accurate and very, very true of how the people of Ireland, North and South, feel about illegal mass migration. Now, I fully understand that we've all made mistakes, and some people might say Conor's made mistakes in the past. Well, guess what? So have I. I've made a lot of them. It doesn't mean that what I say today is not true. And he was speaking facts.
Do you think Conor McGregor is the last chance for Ireland before they go too far in the wrong direction?
I'll tell you this. I'm frightened for the direction that we're going in, and we need a real big change, and I think it has to be something like the Donald Trump in America, and Conor McGregor, from what I can see, is maybe our best hope.
First off, that woman's great. She wants to run for politics here in America. Come on over, lady. Get on board. Yes, we've all made mistakes. Nobody's perfect. It does not mean the truth that Conor McGregor or she is laying out today is wrong. What was his name? Nick Shirly? Nick Shirly is the name of the guy, by the way, who was doing that interview there. And again, none of this has anything to do with racism. What they're realizing is they're losing their country. And now I want to connect this to something that's happening here in America. This story is really, really wild. So in Plano, Texas, which is just outside of Dallas, and Texas, obviously a huge, huge state. There's an awful lot of land. They're doing an awful lot of building there. And it's one of, the big three states, I would say, Texas, Florida, and Tennessee, that all of the blue state people are fleeing to. Well, there have been plans put into place for a giant Islamic mega city. But don't take my word for it. Take this guy's word for it.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Brothers and sisters, I'm sure many of you have heard of the amazing project that we're doing known as Epic Cities. We are, alhamdulillah, constructing an entire city half an hour from downtown Dallas, literally 30 minutes from our own Plano Masjid over here. It's going to be a city of over 1,000 people. Alhamdulillah, we launched this website last year and we sold the entire phase 1 within days. Because of the demand, we are now opening up Epic Ranches. Epic Ranches is an exclusive opportunity for those who want to be within minutes of Epic City, but also want larger plots. We have 2 Epic Ranches. Epic Ranches 1 begins with 1 acreage and goes up to 5 acreage. And Epic Ranches 2 has plots of ½ acre and also investment opportunities for those who want to build condominiums. Brothers and sisters, this is a limited time opportunity. It is an amazing time to invest for the future, not only in yourselves, but of your children after you. We are inshallah ta'ala going to change the entire da'wah scene by demonstrating to the world what it means to be a Muslim living in the West.
Okay, there's a bunch of things to talk about here. First off, if you're an American, any American has any right to live anywhere. There's no such cities. That's a Christian city. There might be a city where mostly Christians live. There might be a city where mostly Muslims live, Dearborn, Michigan. There might be a city where mostly Jewish people live, Little Enclave in Brooklyn. All these things are possible. But you can't stop other people from living there. Now, I don't know that this group of people have stopped anybody, but do you think you'd be welcome there if you were a Jewish family? Do you think a Christian family would be welcome there? Do you think you'd be able to open up any other type of place of worship besides a mosque? You think 3 Christian families could come in and open up a church? Do you think the Jainists are going to be welcome over there? How's it going to go for, I don't know, gays or lesbians or the bis or whatever else? So this does represent I would say, a real divergence from what America is all about. And interestingly, Texas, almost 10 years ago, did pass a law banning Sharia law, which is obviously Islamic religious law, which dictates really over, it's a religious system and a political system over the people's lives who choose to be part of it. Lara Logan, who's an actual investigative journalist, she wrote this, breaking, Attorney General Ken Paxton announces investigation into Islamic mega city development in Plano, Texas. Epic, and that's what it is right there. Look, it is worth thinking about this stuff, guys, and it doesn't make you bigoted to say, okay, this group of people over here shouldn't have a city in the United States that is just for them, that won't be accommodating to other people. You want to have whatever your religious beliefs are, and you want to have your places of worship and your way of life and all of your things, that's fine. But we don't want to take the beautiful melting pot of America and turn it into the sort of segregated version of Europe. We do not want to do that. So we'll see what happens in Texas. I don't think they're going to put up for it, and we will see for sure. Guys, let's talk about G2 for a second. We'll have a RubinReport.locals.com community Q&A in just a sec. You guys know I'm all about logic and reason. Well, here's some logic. If your feet are killing you at the end of the day, you need better shoes. That's why I love G2 shoes by Gravity Defier. Unlike trendy sneakers, these are built on real shock-absorbing technology. Their patented VersoShock system absorbs impact, returns energy, and helps align your body so whether you're walking, running, or standing all day, it feels effortless. Right now, my listeners get 30% off orders over $120. Just text Rubin30 to 91888 or visit gdefy.com and use code Rubin30 at checkout. Use logic, choose comfort, Gdefy. All right, community Q&A, here we go. Olaf says, dogs are pack animals. Would you ever get a buddy for Clyde? They really do entertain each other. I think we have some pictures of Clyde from this morning. There's Clyde right there. He's hanging out on the couch. He's taken over that one cushion because the kids have taken over pretty much everything else, and they've got their little dome there in the corner. I kind of like hanging out on the dome. It's pretty cool. Would we ever get another dog? No, not at this juncture. There's a lot of running around and food all over the place and messes and everything else. Clyde, he's a great dog. Many of you know the story. Got him right before lockdowns, or just as lockdowns were starting. Our dog before, Emma, had just passed away, 16 years old. We had just put her down. We didn't want to get another dog, but I heard they were going to kill all these dogs at shelters. I ran into a shelter. I didn't even have a mask. Saved him. He's with us. He's great. He's a good guard dog, but it's just a bit much. It's a bit much. I would love maybe in another time, or if we move to a farm one day, having more animals in general and maybe some more dogs. I don't know. We'll see. But right now, we're focusing on small humans. That's where we're at the moment. Elizabeth says, do you think leftists will understand that siding with jihadists is dangerous before they're thrown from a roof or as they're being thrown from a roof? Well, generally, as you're being thrown from a roof, you do start rethinking things. I mean, look, look, Queers for Palestine. And as I wrote in Don't Burn This Book, Queers for Palestine is very different than Palestine for Queers. How do these queers, whatever that means, I don't know, are they gay or they got a little of everything or they got nothing or whatever it is, but how do they think they would be treated by Hamas? We picture the Hamas guys with the masks and the thing and the knife and the gun and the whole thing. Like, do you think that they would like you? So the problem with burying your head in the sand is that you just get buried a little bit low. You just get beheaded a little bit lower on the neck. It does not work. And this sort of what they call the red-green alliance, the alliance between the Islamists and the communists, and that's in essence what the queers are. It is not going to end well for you guys. Like, you can bow to them forever, and either you will live on your knees or you will be beheaded. It's as simple as that. Rich on the Farm, I believe it was your birthday yesterday, Rich. Happy birthday. Says, have you noticed how disingenuous people often start with, so you think, as a way to mischaracterize your opinion and then criticize what they hallucinate? So when I was reading this question before, I like to take a quick glance before that immediately reminded me of one of Jordan Peterson's greatest hits. This is when Jordan and I were on tour. This is back in early 2018. He went on Kathy Newman's show in Britain, and this illustrates perfectly what you're laying out right there.
So you say, I mean, that sounds pretty bad. You're saying
It's
there's a
bad.
crime, but you're just saying that's the way it is.
And
So
that
you're
you can
saying
rely on.
women, is that what you're saying? But you're saying basically, well, that's just a fact of
No,
life.
it's saying
Women
it
aren't
doesn't
necessarily
matter because I'm very, very, very careful with my words.
But you're
Yes.
saying it's not. You say women, so you're saying women are just more sensible. So you're saying that. So you're saying give people equality of opportunity, that's fine. But still women aren't going to make it. That's what you're really
It
saying.
depends on your measurement technique.
To succeed is what you're saying.
Motion.
You're saying that women aren't intelligent enough to run these top companies?
No, I didn't say that at all.
You said that.
First off, Jordan has really had to glow up over the years too, huh? But that thing where Jordan, do you know anyone in the history of the world that speaks more clearly than Jordan? Does he do a lot of high-level ideas and sometimes you have to think about what he's saying for a sec? Yeah, but does he choose his words carefully and make a declarative statement every time something comes out of his mouth? The answer is obviously yes. So that's a perfect example of what you're talking about. There's this condescending way of, here, I said something, oh, so what you're saying is, and then it's never exactly what the person was saying. Leftists do this constantly. They have a lot of linguistic tricks. I think it's also why so many of them, when I play these clips of The View or some of these other shows with these women, they talk like Valley girls. There's something about that. Or even something about, why are all the men on CNN asexual? There's something about that a way of thinking that leads to weird mnemonic tricks and speech patterns and all of these things. I would prefer somebody who just speaks from the heart, tells you what they think. You go from there and see what happens, whether you agree with them or not. Shecky Green says, in my view, I smell a rat. How on earth does the most prolific Donald J. Trump hater anywhere get in this restricted chat room? So, of course, you're talking about this Signal story, and there's a lot to think about here. I really, really tried to cover it as cleanly and honestly as possible, fully admitting and accepting that if this was a Biden administration thing, I'd probably be going a little bit harder on it because Biden wasn't competent. Nobody around him was competent. The entire Biden administration actually was a scandal. And as the years go by, it will become more and more obvious. But as it pertains to this, there's this group chat. You've got JD, you've got Tulsi, you've got Marco, Pete Hegseth, you've got some of the primo all-stars of the administration in there. They're debating and discussing what their plans are as far as military strikes with the Houthis while we're doing it. So it wasn't some sort of secret that we were doing anything against the Houthis to get these trading ports open in the Red Sea. And then there's now some debate because Jeffrey Goldberg, who is in essence a leftist, he's an Atlantic never Trumper guy, somehow got in the chat. It sounds like Mike Waltz, NSA Mike Waltz, put him in the chat, or whoever set up the chat through Mike Waltz, wasn't one of his guys did it. So was there an absolute moronic kind of boomer level screw up of who got in the chat? Yeah. Have we all accidentally texted the wrong person because you think you're texting one friend whose name is Frank and it turns out you texted the other Frank? Everyone's done it. Have you accidentally put someone in whatever? That doesn't excuse any of it, but that's just like a flat out obvious mistake. Now, I think you're arguing that perhaps there's something a little more nefarious there, like how did maybe someone else put him in Signal? Perhaps. I don't think anything's off the table, actually. The real question here is, if you read what was going on in the thread, which we showed you much of this week, it's like there's honest debate happening there. And JD's talking about how do we frame this properly for the American people who may not have an appetite for it and everything else. That's also the backdrop of the fact that the strikes all worked, right? The strikes, no Americans got hurt or anything else. And we sent a warning to the Houthis, you got to stop doing this. Okay, fine. The real question now is, what do you do about Mike Waltz, who apparently is the guy that let him in, or someone that he sets up his phone or whatever. And then I saw all sorts of people, and I got into a big debate on this on Piers Morgan, claiming that you're not allowed to use Signal for classified information. That is actually still a little unclear to me. We showed you the video yesterday of incoming CIA Director Ratcliffe saying that he was given a computer with Signal on it and told by the CIA people that he's allowed to communicate on there. So there's a lot of stuff here. So I don't think using Signal is illegal for these people. The question is, how long does the kind of scandal last? In some sense, and I'm just giving you the pure politic version of this. I'm not giving you like the pure legal version. In some sense, I think Trump just has to plow through this thing. Waltz did something stupid. Trump has to decide if he wants to fire him or not. That seems fairly obvious, again, unless something really weird happened. But beyond that, I think you just keep moving forward. Nothing in that chat was anything different than what these people are saying publicly. It showed thoughtful policy and debate, and that's all good. Crafty Barb says, how do we get out of this mess? I'm not sure which mess you're talking about, Crafty Barb, but it seems like we're in less messes than we were, say, 6 months ago, right? Like, there's some stuff. The Signal thing is something. Ireland's got some stuff going on. There's some problems all over the world. But like right now, how do you get yourself out of this mess? How about stand up straight with your shoulders back, tell people what you think, fight for what you believe in, live in a place with like-minded people so you can build great things together, build a family, do that kind of stuff. I think that is pretty solid generally, even without knowing what specific mess you're talking about. Susan says, less educated people can be controlled and paid less. So is that why you allowed 12 to 20 million illegally into our country? I think what you're referencing there, Susan, is we played a clip of Sunny Hostin. God bless that racist loon, Sunny Hostin, on the Don Lemon podcast. And she was basically saying, we need public education because if we don't have public education, then everyone's going to be stupid. Of course, never referencing the fact that test scores are going down. Kids can't read at 5th grade levels until they're in 8th grade in certain places. Like there's so many, and they're being taught all the wrong things and everything else. But of course, you're completely right. Everything they say can just be peeled back so easily. And it's just pure nonsense. Like, okay, so you're right. And right. So you're connecting it to the immigration thing. So it's like, all right, let all these people in and they'll work our jobs. Then they'll be replaced by robots. Then they'll go to state schools and they'll get government handouts. And what will we have at the end? While at the same time, you told them that they moved to a systemically racist place, Sonny. It's strange, Sonny, because you aren't going anywhere because you're making an awful lot of money telling people how terrible it is here. Let's talk about crowd health. And then we got more questions on the other side. Hey guys, let's talk about something that drives me up the wall, health insurance. I mean, is there anything more frustrating? That's exactly why I'm excited to tell you about Crowd Health. This isn't your typical health insurance. It's a smarter, better way to handle healthcare through crowdfunding. Instead of funneling your hard-earned cash to big insurance companies that seem to make a profit by not paying your bills, Crowd Health flips the script. They're shaking things up by cutting out the middleman and making healthcare straightforward and affordable. So how does it work? With Crowd Health, you're joining a health insurance alternative that's all about real support. For just $175 a month for an individual or $575 for a family of 4 or more, you get access to a community ready to step up when you need it most. We're talking about telemedicine visits, discounted prescriptions, and tons of other perks. No doctor networks holding you back. The best part, you're part of the crowd, a group of folks like you and me who pitch in to cover each other's unexpected medical costs. It's simple, it's human, and it's a game changer. Here's the deal. Let Crowd Health help you with your healthcare needs. Get started today for just $99 per month for your first 3 months by using code DAVE at joincrowdhealth.com. Oh, and a quick note, Crowd Health is not insurance. Learn more at joincrowdhealth.com. That's joincrowdhealth.com. Code DAVE. Trust me, your wallet and your sanity will thank you. Tarp says, what's brown and sticky? Who selected the questions today? Joseph, what is brown and sticky? Jello. A Jello pudding pop. It's delicious and it's brown and it's sticky. Theo, do you want one? NY 53813. Laken Riley was white. Does Tiffany cross care? Oh, well, what you're referencing is that CNN clip that we showed you with Scott Jennings getting into it with this girl, Tiffany Cross. And of course, what she's basically arguing is that Trump is racist because, we're deporting people and some of these people happen to be brown. And she said something like, oh, and if they were taking white babies away from their mothers, we'd be up in arms. And it's like, they're not taking brown babies away. There were no brown babies put on those planes that went to El Salvador. But then he brought up the point, Scott Jennings brought up the point, well, how about we care about Laken Riley, et cetera? Laken Riley, young girl, happened to be white, murdered by an illegal immigrant. Well, let's put it this way. If she was black, more people would know her name. I think we know that much. We did live through BLM, did we not? But that's the sad thing. Like, if you don't really have, if your principles are all connected to whatever the political hot button thing is of the day, you're going to take any position and over time seem crazy. That basically sums up the modern progressive. If you have principles, like actual principles, then you can hold them regardless of the political trends. And it's one of the reasons that Scott Jennings is just doing a bang-up job over on CNN. I honestly think they might be like it's like they're all being punked right now. They're like, what idiot? Can we get another idiot to sit with this guy? Because those are the clips that go viral, even if it makes our network look bad. Marcus says, doesn't Jasmine Crockett's gaslighting remind you of that other relay runner who hit the one in the head with the baton and then claimed it was an accident? Do we have video of this? This is incredible. I don't know how we didn't show this on the show earlier in the week. Look at this. Look at this. That's not how that's not how you do the relay. Everyone knows the relay. You're running, and then the person in front of you is running, and they back here, and then you don't hit them over the baton. That's like a perfect visual example of what Jasmine Crockett is. But that's what all the Democrats are at this point. That's actually a great example of just like, that's her in AOC, right? AOC was running in front of her. She couldn't take it. She has now banged AOC in the head with the crazy baton. AOC is off going that way. She's hanging out with Bernie for a little bit. But watch out. AOC could have a comeback. She can get a bigger baton and smack Crockett. And that will be that. All right, one more for you, and then I got to get on a plane to New York. Izzy says, what is the best dessert and why is it ice cream? Well, Izzy, you are absolutely right. It is ice cream. I don't do much dessert these days, although it was Conor's birthday. We went out. You know what we did? You people will appreciate this. So Conor loves Chili's. Everyone knows it. Millions of people across the world know that Conor loves Chili's. We told him all day long that we were going to Chili's, and he was so excited. He dressed up in his Chili's outfit. It was the whole thing, and we were talking about the salad bar and the wings and the baby back ribs and the sauce all over your face. And then Phoenix said to me, Dave, the Rubin Report's a professional operation. Can we do a little bit better than Chili's? And we took him to my favorite Mexican joint in Miami. It's called Coco in Coconut Grove. And we got did we have any pictures of that? Do we have some pictures of those steaks? Yeah, throw up a picture. We got 2 Wagyu tomahawks that were just and we had some tequila, and it was a good night. But connect that to dessert. He did blow out a candle on a churro. However, ice cream, yes. I don't eat much dessert. Ice cream, you give me a little mint chocolate cookie, I'm a happy guy. Maybe once a month. That's it. Trying to keep it clean around here. All right, guys. Gutfeld, the #1 show in late night tonight. And then I believe I'm on Fox and Friends tomorrow morning. Not sure what time that'll be. They kind of adjust you as the day goes by. And Jesse Waters tomorrow evening. Couple podcasts during the day, and we'll be sure to get a bunch of stuff up. Thank you. Adios.